Chrissy, this is for you.
Hey, Indigo made the beat.
Greetings, everybody. Welcome to another edition of the Heroes Peak podcast. I am your host, Chris, and we are here to talk about culture, entertainment, whatever the hell we feel like. And today, part 2 of our Stranger Things Season 4 review, because there was a part 2. Part 2 of 3.5 hours split into 2 episodes. Of
4 hours. 4 hours, so technically 3 hours, 55 minutes.
Was it 3:55?
Yeah, first one was
Damn.
90, and then the other one
Yeah, I
was
thought the second one was
2.5.
15?
2.5,
Was it close
yeah.
to 2.5?
Although, I don't know, that last 15 minutes, we'll get into it, but it was kind of Lord of the Rings ending-ish. So,
Well, that's what the Duffer Brothers are saying they're going to do in the end of season 5.
oh, okay.
Lord of the Rings.
Nice.
Return of the King. 20 endings.
Nice.
We got a lot of characters to cover.
Works for me.
Well, with me to talk about Stranger Things season 2. Our own number 1. It's James. How you doing, James?
What's going on, fellas? Been a while, man. It's been a while. Glad to be here.
Our own number 8. It's Keith. How you doing, Keith?
Hey, glad to be back. I've missed a few weeks. Here we go. Let's rock.
All right. Number 2 is Mike.
Hey, guys, I feel like climbing on my roof and busting out some Metallica, so...
That's right.
Yeah, I was thinking of you, and that bit
Oh,
came out
man.
from our '90s days
Yep.
in the staff cage, listening to Metallica.
Oh, the staff cage.
And I am
So
just a
wonderful.
mean doctor experimenting on these poor children.
Papa?
All right, so today,
Is that you?
Papa, can you hear
it's
me?
Dad.
Papa?
My dad here. All right, so we're gonna ask because when we did our first one, poor Keith couldn't make it. So Keith is gonna give us his overall view of the whole series, especially now that we've finished the last 2, and then we'll go
I
around.
also
and
missed it too, by the way. But yeah,
Oh, I don't remember not seeing you, but that's all right. I miss Keith.
Yeah, we need the important opinion here, so...
Roger that.
Don't do my guy. Don't do my guy.
All right. No, you two will give us your valid opinions here of the whole thing, what you thought of it, and then we will go and we'll break down. We'll talk about just these last 2 episodes, and we'll get to some hopefully some good discussions, some good opinions. So I'm gonna let Keith start here. Keith, how are you? Like, have you always been into Stranger Things?
Yes.
Have you watched from the beginning?
Yes.
And what did you think of this season specifically, and how does it compare to the previous seasons?
Well, as a caveat, I'm just going to go ahead and say that this show has constantly delivered. I feel like I have felt a sense of satisfaction with each successive season. And this season was no different. It's like they kind of like tweak they kind of tweak the type of show that it is each season, keeping that underlining premise of, that other world, the upside down and this, that, and the other. Like, but it's like it's materially like you could have split each one of those seasons up into their own show.
Yeah, they definitely nailed like bits and pieces of 80s culture in each one
Each
without
one.
without feeling like they were just like digging up the dead.
It I it was an expert job. I thought, like, to me, I felt like they were kind of going to run up against the wall, like, and now I even appreciate the whole as as buttery and formulaic as that ending was. I actually like that they set up a a longer a longer arc to the villain, and I feel like next season, if there is a next season, I don't even know how this is gonna work. But like next season, they have even like now there's a legitimate like nemesis. So like this is really gonna get a little Harry Pottery, I think, and I kind of dig that.
James, I'm gonna give you your shot here. Give us
Yeah,
something
I'm not
good.
into Harry Potter, as you guys know, so
No,
terrible analogy
not
from
Harry
the key.
Potter in terms of material, but like in terms of how they were able to like that ongoing villain, and you
I
will
Mm-hmm.
bet
be
you.
able to weave like plots around that. Like it
A
just
constant arc.
yeah, like it's
Like Thanos in the Infinity Saga through the
you
first
need
three
more.
phases. This show, I think I mentioned this on the on our thread, Skype thread, that shows like this and The Boys give me hope that there is good, and Severance, another good show that we watch. That there's not only there's good TV, but it's good writing. For every mediocre, or maybe like Kenobi, which was slightly better than mediocre, for every version of these shows that we watch and review and we spend an hour and a half dissecting, I look forward to shows like this and The Boys where we actually get something really solid and quality. There's so much about this show, this season, and particular part two finales that I can't wait to get into. That to me, it really enhances what we do on our podcast. We review things, we talk about how it makes us feel, we critique it. This is definitely one of the best shows I've seen this year, next to The Boys. And what makes this one even better than The Boys is based on an established IP, a comic book story. So there's characters, there's limitations and flexibility. The Duffer Brothers write and direct this. It's their thing. It's not an established IP. This is from their heads to the screen and in our living rooms. So awesome job. Let's get into this, Chris.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this is the one streaming IP. Like when it started, it was like, oh, we're gonna get some cool '80s Goonies vibes. This is
Right.
great. Like I'm digging this. And then you're like, oh, I like these characters. This is some interesting storytelling. And then they just went, I'm gonna step up. I'm gonna step up. I'm gonna step up. And this season, even more than the previous seasons that we've enjoyed, this season is just full bore. I don't even feel nostalgia anymore. I am totally in this world. I'm here. It has nothing to do. Even if you're a horror fan of the '80s horror movies and you're like, oh, that's kind of a reference to this or whatever, it still feels like this is definitely its own thing. All right, so Stranger Things has breached the 1 billion hours watched in the first 28 days. Now,
That's
that
crazy.
is only bested by Squid Games. And Squid
Really?
yeah, Squid Games is currently, I think it was the first one to breach a billion hours in the first 28 days. And it is close to 2 billion hours watched is what I read, and it's possible.
Another original
Yeah.
another original IP, by the way.
Hmm.
To those haters who go, "Oh, everything's just remakes
Shut
and
up.
reboots now.
Yeah.
Nobody does anything creative."
If you do something creative,
So
Because
you'll
I
get
was
the
one of
eyeballs.
those guys,
And
like, and I definitely
yeah,
feel like I still feel the same way. Like these two things shouldn't be such the huge standouts in this sea of content that we experience every day.
all right, so we're gonna break this up because this is such a huge cast. This is such a big thing, and this is really two episodes, but it's just one finale, really. You know, unlike other shows like this, the penultimate episode, episode 8 here, really what felt like a setup episode. They're like, okay, we got to put everything in place. We got to get everything set. We got to get everybody where we wanted to get them. And then we're not stopping, man. We're not stopping before we reach the end. They were Eddie playing to the last second. The brothers really delivered this final episode. Now, everybody, just so you know, this is spoilers, full spoilers. You're gonna find out all of the worst that happened, and we're gonna all cry together. All right.
Before we get started, does anyone want to get out?
You've heard of this. You've seen this, right? You know what that is.
It is unavoidable. It is your destiny.
Is this not why you are here?
Do or do not. There is no try.
Knock that shit off.
So, as I did with the last time, we're gonna talk about it in the way the show grouped the people together. Okay, so as they broke up to do their things, and so we'll talk about it as those groups, and that way we can discuss characters or important things we noted and story plot lines in a little more organized way. So we are going to start with the star of the show, the person who is the breakout of this entire thing, and that's Millie Bobby Brown's 11. We're going to talk, and we'll Matthew Modine, the Dr. Brenner, and in a very important part in episode 8 before we got to episode 9 is their confrontation and 11 breaking out of the program. And no matter what was happening, Brenner didn't really care about anything else. He still only cared about his program. He claimed to care about the kids. He claimed to care about what was going on. But to the bitter end, to his own death, he refused to just let 11 go and do her thing and save her friends. What did you guys think of these two performances and that whole final culmination for that character and that in the Hawkins lab and that whole thing? Mike, I'm going to let you go first.
Yeah, I knew that Papa was going to be a dick again, obviously. And I do want to give a shout out to Paul Reiser's character, Dr. Owens, because he really, he's redeemed himself, as a person, and especially when it comes to 11, and when she was wanting to leave, and he had to remind Papa, this is not a prison, right? We said she could leave anytime she wanted, and then even when the military caught him, and he still wouldn't give her up, So props to him, and so, yeah, like I was saying, I knew Papa was going to be a dick at the end, and I do like that as he was dying, he let her go and was like,
yeah,
go do your thing.
But she did not give him the satisfaction of giving him the go-ahead. Like, he let her go, but then he said, I did it all because I loved you. You understand that, right?
Yeah.
And she's like,
Goodbye.
Whatever.
No, I'm just out.
Yeah.
So it's interesting how little they have 11 talk to him. Like, she doesn't have conversations with Brenner. She just kind of nods or gives yes or no's or facial expressions or whatnot, but they never have a conversation. Did I miss something? Like,
no,
it's such a weird relationship.
She did have that great scene when she called him a monster.
Oh yeah.
I would give her props because that was a great performance when they had that dialogue between the two of them.
Yeah, you're right. That is the one time she did break out, and she's like, "No, you're the monster."
Yeah, and she was like, "All this time I thought I was the monster," or Henry's number one, right?
Mm-hmm.
So,
all right, James.
I'm with Mike there. It was weird. The entire series, the relationship, which we first saw in season 1, and her flashbacks from the lab and what he did to her mother. But I think this moment here at the end, it felt, I had a dichotomy of feelings. One, I was kind of rooting for him when he was taking her out of the lab because the military, the other bad guys, were on the way to kill her. And then when we realized that he still wanted control of her, like he wasn't really doing it for benefits. He was just doing it so he can stay in control, not necessarily give her away to the military who was going to kill her. So when she was holding his hand and he was having his little soliloquy, and then she finally kind of let go, and then like walked away like resolute. I thought that, yeah, good for that dude. Goodbye, good riddance. So it was weird. I think Matthew Modine played the character pretty well, and I think the character also was written pretty well, and it helped unleash 11 mentally, to which she would have to do later on in the finale was, be in control of her powers, be in control of herself, and move off from her past. That scene that she has with a one Henry, when she's trying to read, which is kind of weird. She's trying to connect with them and say, "You were not the monster. It was Papa. Papa's dead." I was like, "Ooh, where's this going? This is interesting. Some Vader, Luke Palpatine thing." It didn't go there, but I thought that was very interesting because even after his death, she still understands that it's not their fault that they are like who they are. It's really Matthew Modine's character, Brenner.
Well, we'll get back to that, but another interesting like Kenobi parallel is that Vecna goes, "No, it wasn't him.
Yes, very
It was
good,
you,
very good. Yeah,
and it was me." Like Papa had not like Papa's not the
no, he's not
problem
to
here.
blame.
Like he
He didn't make me.
but yeah. So that was interesting little we'll get back to that though. Keith.
That relationship I thought was like it was frustrating me a little bit because like it just seemed like for all that she went through, like she was just getting too easily manipulated. Um, but yeah, like I give him zero credit. The dude is a manipulator. Like he's the material of battered wives who stay in relationships. Like
Mhm.
he, I, I really, I really grew to dislike his character, even in the midst of him doing that, say those savior antics, trying, the military's coming. Like in my mind, I'm like, oh, okay, like you're really just saving her for yourself. Like you're not saving her because you care about her. Like you're
Mm.
like that's all fake. Like that's part of your
Right, yeah.
manipulation, and like it just I don't know, like all I looked at him as is like a very smart but like overly manipulative. He was selfish. He had aims that he was trying to achieve. He whatever glory it is or whatever he wanted to use of those kids, getting their abilities out. It just was super obvious, and like it didn't. It never washed away from it. Like even when I felt like how he died wasn't even enough. Like that. Like
Yeah, I was
wasn't
thinking the
enough.
same
Like
thing.
that wasn't, and not that I think that he should have died some horrific kind of, but like he has done a lot of damage and literally got this whole ball rolling.
Yeah, and Vecna like never targeted him. So like did can you think that the guy never thought of himself as bad at all? Like he never had a negative memory because it wasn't like his actions to him weren't
Yeah,
negative. Like he was just
that's a
that
sociopath.
delusional.
Mm,
Mhm.
exactly.
Yeah.
All right. So let's talk about the Van Gang. Now, this gang doesn't get as much to do, especially in the finale. Now, the Duffer Brothers, with such a large cast, tried to get everybody a little something, especially they took important relationships and gave them time to be vocalized. Okay, so the Van Gang specifically, the big one of the big emotional breaks in this was the Mike and Will talk in the van. And Will basically breaks down his what I think we all consider his feelings for Mike, but it calling it 11s, right? And giving Mike this giant pep talk about being the heart of the crew. And he pulls out his painting and a really cool dragon, and Mike's leading the crew and whatever. And it's this really great, amazing best friend pep talk. And then Will like turns away from the camera and just is bawling his eyes out. Now, we do see his brother noticing and recognizing this. We get a moment between Jonathan and Will later at least a little something to help. But man, poor Will. Like I just look at that poor kid and he just has not caught a break. and I feel sorry for him every time I see him.
No.
What did you guys think of this whole scene, this whole crew, this group that basically got to cheerlead from the sidelines as
Dude, I
11-year-old
love
quirks?
Pizza Guy, man. Give him a shout out, Pizza Guy.
Uh,
Argyle.
Argyle, Eduardo
useful though.
Franco
He
plays
was a useful
Argyle.
idiot. He was.
He
I think that
was.
He was
his
He
input,
dropped
amazing.
gems.
his input on the caper to me was a lot more impactful than I think some of the regulars in this season.
Agreed.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, you hit a pretty good point, and we were texting about this earlier. One of the most powerful scenes in this show was when Will, he's talking in two different tongues, right? He's actually trying to pep. Am I confusing characters? Mike. Yeah, he's trying to give Mike a pep talk. Meanwhile, he's really talking about himself and him living like he's in a closet and he's like trying to come out, but he doesn't know how to do it. So it's like a dual conversation that's happening there. And then when he finishes and he looks out the mirror, and that cry he does, I can see Keith about to poo poo it, but yeah,
I feel like I dig where they were going with it, but out of all of the elements of that show, I feel like that was a little bit too forced and kind of hokey. Like even me, I'm sitting here with my lady watching it. Like we're watching the joint. Like we both love Stranger Things, and like his actions are like so like it's like everybody but his intended target sees it. Like, are you like like okay, you're obviously in the closet. Like it's not smoothly done. It's not of all the elements in this show. I feel like it was not. It was not a like he looked like he was acting. It looked very forced. Like oh my god, what is he going through? Of course we know what he's going through. Look at how like he's literally acting it out. Like it's I don't know. It didn't come off smoothly to me.
I guess I felt
didn't
like the
feel authentic.
character he's putting
yeah,
on an act. He's doing two things at the same time because he knows Mike
Right.
L needs Mike's hype. Mike needs to be hyped to get to L, and Will is
Yeah.
basically lifting two people at the
yes,
same time while also dr- letting his own heart out, but he can't literally say what he wants to say.
He's
It's the same thing with what's her name Robin. Robin's doing the same thing,
Yeah.
yes,
Robin.
yes,
Right.
exactly,
and
Hmm.
exactly. But she does not come
mhm,
off,
mhm.
and of course maybe because she's not as
I
focal a character as him, but she does not come off in the same way. Like it
I think for Robin it's because she got that scene in, was it season 3, where she got to let that out. And now she's with a person, Steve, who she feels completely comfortable as an accepting person. They can have that conversation open. So even when she's not open with somebody else, she's got a different relationship with
mm,
Steve. Whereas Wild has, until his brother like has that sort of mini
yeah,
talk, the
was
I
cool,
know but without
which I
knowing
thought was
talk,
cool. I liked it.
yeah. I'm here for you.
it
I
was a
like
great
I liked
scene.
how they
Hmm.
handled the situation. I like how they wrote and handled the
Hmm.
situation. I just don't like his acting of it. I don't it that turned into
Okay.
the R&B. No,
Dude, I love that. Nah, dude, I love that. I
sorry.
know it's
Uh,
good.
Like it
Yeah.
was
I
just
thought it was.
it
I
was
thought
too
it was
much.
great.
Like you're pouring it on
Yeah.
too thick, bro. We know. We already got it. Like we've seen it through the last 4 or 5 scenes. We know you're in love with them. Okay, we get it. Like you know what I'm
all
saying? Like it's
right.
Yeah, I don't think he's in love with
No,
Mike.
I don't think he's in love with Mike. I know. I don't think
Yeah,
it's.
I think he
It's
feels
just in general he
alone,
wants to
despite
but
the
get
it's
fact
out.
that he's
Mike
with the
though.
group.
It's
He
not.
But
It's
feels
not
it's
about Mike.
Mike.
Yeah.
alone.
So Mike, overall,
All
what
right.
did you think of the van crew and their use of a pizza
Yeah.
freezer?
I. Yeah. So yeah, our guy was great as usual. Like I said, I hope they keep him around for next season. Although everybody's back in Hawkins and he lives in California, right? So I don't know how that's going to work, but we'll see.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, the whole that scene in the van, I love that scene with Will and Mike and his brother. So that was great. Um, and the whole exchange of the pizza dudes, in the when they first
That
came in.
was dope. Dope.
Yeah, that was
Bro,
so good.
bro.
It's like I don't know how to describe it when two guys in the same, it's like a fraternity kind of thing too, right? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah, you're a brother. All right, I'll hook you up, whatever you need. So
All right, I know 11's part of this crew, but we'll get back to her when we get to the Max stuff because that's where it really starts to land.
mhm.
Let's talk about Russia crew. The Russia crew. So Joyce, Hopper, Murray, and Dimitri, they finally escape the prison, only to realize they're not going to be able to do anything to help.
They have to
So,
escape back into the prison.
uh, so yeah, they got to do the classic. It was actually a funny classic, oh, we got to go back in, guys. And they're not really doing anything to help the kids. They think they are. I don't know. I honestly don't see where they're helping the kids, but at least they're doing something. It gives them something to accomplish, and you get a cool prison
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 break, a prison
fight
fight. Yeah.
scene with the demigorgons, the demi-dogs, and a great barbecue and a sword fight. Where did the
Dude, the
sword come from?
broadsword. I was like, where the hell this come
Where
I
did
from?
it
think
just?
I know we were asking the same thing. I think it was in the church, and they brought it with them.
I
I
guess
don't
I don't
remember
remember
grabbing
them
it
grabbing
I'm
either.
it,
gonna
but
have to rewatch
he
it.
he looks down, and I'm
Either
like,
that
is that
or
Yeah,
He-Man's
like he
sword
even did
coming?
the pose like He-Man. I'm like, is this a
yeah,
homage to
either that
He-Man?
or it was in the prison. I think the warden or something was collecting weird stuff, but I'm pretty sure it was in the church.
All right, so I think this is the best this crew got to do this season. I know it's been an okay storyline. It's been a necessary storyline. Separate the parents from the kids. It's what you got to do. But this is the most interesting we've seen of this crew. What did you guys think of this storyline? I'm gonna go around.
I
James,
mean,
start with you.
obviously, to me, it wasn't the best points of the story, but I understand it was needed. It was needed to get Hopper back with the crew. It was needed to give what's her name, Winona Ryder's character, Joy, something to do.
Joyce.
I did like the addition of Murray and the Russian pilot, and then the other Russian guy who kind of flipped at the end. I thought it was entertaining. It did remind me of like what we all thought of '80s Russia back in the day. The Cold War and
I was
all that
just about
stuff.
to say, hating Russians is back.
Yeah, it's back.
Yeah,
So that
but
all
you
that stuff
can't
was
even
kind
hate
of
these
funny.
guys because those guys at the end too. That guy, the one dude, the guard, gave that great speech about this isn't about country anymore.
Yeah, it's not these
These
guys. This
guys,
evil doesn't know
they're not gonna
borders. It doesn't.
stop. Right. It's not
Yeah,
about borders.
Mhm.
It's not about It's about all of us. And so yeah, we can hate on today's Russia, but you can't hate those guys too much.
yeah. I thought it might have. There's some moments, and especially these last episodes, where it was too hyper focused on what they're doing with escaping and then going back into prison and getting the plane to work and calling America, which is confusing as shit. There was too much. I thought there was too much of that in the final story, not enough in the other groups. But I get it. You got to balance the show out. You can't have everybody, you know, just kind of like whimsically appearing from place to place and solving the story. So I understood it. It was needed.
Yeah. Keith,
What was the question?
just like, what did you think of the prison crew and
Oh,
that storyline in
I, I
general?
I thought it was a fun romp, like a fun side romp to to
Mm-mm.
to an eventual plot point. I think they did that well. A lot of movies don't pull that off well. So yeah, they needed some plot devices to get him back to the group or get him back. And like I'm not mad at that secondary story. I liked it. Although, like,
Mhm.
I feel like we still
Right.
can be mad at the Russians because, like, I mean,
That smuggler
the
dude.
smuggler dude, and
The
not like they
smuggler
didn't
dude.
have like one of them locked up and that they were using to kill
Mhm.
soldiers for their amusement. So I don't know
Right.
how I don't know how warm and fuzzy the the new guard is.
Right. All right, Mike.
Yeah, so if you remember, Chris, when we did our part one of this, I said the Russian stuff
Mhm.
wasn't working for me, and I almost wanted to just fast forward through all those scenes. This finale, like, redeemed that totally for me.
Mm.
Like with the
Mhm.
escape and the re-entry and the fighting of the demons at the end, it made up for all the, is he gonna escape? What's the plan? You know,
Dirty Dozen, but it's only three of us.
all that stuff they were dragging out in the first 7 episodes. And and I was so happy when Joyce and Hopper got reunited. You know what I mean? And
Legitimately, I was legit happy.
Mhm.
yeah, and they're talking about their
Yeah.
date and stuff, and he's going on about the
The
food he
food
wants.
lasagna.
And it's just like, that's what,
Breadsticks.
man, you think about food. Yeah, and and he was like, yeah, what was he saying? You've been eating moldy food for whatever.
Moldy food and soup. Yeah.
Yeah,
what watered pea soup or something? Yeah,
yeah, and
exactly.
then I love the sword part too when he's fighting the demon with the sword.
I swear, my daughter and I
Where
looked
the
at each
hell
other
does
and
the
went,
sword
"Where
come
the hell
from?
did the sword
Because
come
you
from?"
see it, there's a glimpse of it when Murray is flamethrowing the demons and it pans on the floor. And then I caught it the first time on the
He's
floor. I was like, wait, what is that? And then when Hopper comes out and he goes for it, you realize, oh, this wasn't an accident. It's actually meant to be part of the.
Like,
I was like, was this a
Yeah, and
prop mistake?
I was really glad. I was really glad when Joyce, when it looked like Hopper was about to die, and Joyce came out with the stun thing, and she was and saved
the
his ass.
stunner.
Yeah. And by the
Yes.
way, like I said, Murray has been a great character.
Yeah, I
You
like
know,
them.
with all his karate stuff and his helping with the translations and all. Great comic relief. Great use of that character this season.
Agreed.
Yeah, definitely like that character more this season. He was funny, when they first met him, and he's conspiracy theorist and whatnot. But yeah, they really dialed him up. And let me say, you're talking about Joyce coming in with the electrocutor thing. That moment, the Duffer Brothers basically took every one of these storylines and brought them to that moment where you're like, and you know what's going to happen. It's completely contrived, but you're like, holy shit. Like the tension is build, and then finally the release. And they did a great job of just letting everything move together where you had the same emotion going for all of the storylines almost, right? You didn't feel pulled apart too much where you're like, oh,
Yeah,
this is
they
good and this is
and it's
bad.
an old school trick that even Star Wars, the original trilogy, used to
Yeah,
do
I
it.
was gonna say,
They
it
give you
reminded me of Return of
four
the
four
Jedi.
different storylines,
Yeah,
and they're all at its
right.
worst, right? Right before one scene happens and flips, and then it's like a domino effect, right? Then the next scene they
Yeah,
flip.
Right.
Lucas, I was afraid that Lucas would get killed. I was afraid that Eddie was going to get killed
right.
at the time at that moment. All these was like crescendo up until when 11 finally realized her strength, and then every other scene after that it showed you the folks overcoming their obstacles, which was great.
Yeah, as soon as the rest of the what's his name from the basketball team and his buddy showed up to the
Lucas.
house.
I don't know his
Oh, not
name.
Lucas. I know you're
Just
talking
the
about the
jock.
dumb.
Yeah,
Just the
when
jock.
they showed up, I was
Just the
like,
jock.
man, oh man,
Yeah.
bad timing, and we'll get to that. But I know where you're going. I
Well,
know what
we're
you're
gonna.
saying, James. Yeah.
All right. So now we're gonna jump to the Hawkins crew, and we'll go through because these crew at the end of episode 8, um, Nancy gets taken by Vecna, but instead of killing her, he basically lays out his entire plan and says, "Tell 11," and then lets her go. It basically gives the whole crew a time to plan up and get ready. and
Yeah,
have our
I thought
finale.
that was odd, but
It was a little
right.
contrived, but hey, it's fun. So let's talk about in the way these kids ended up breaking up into their parts and phases, and we can talk about any parts we want. So first start with Dustin
Man.
and Eddie, because it is the absolute most emotional
Hmm.
moment in the newest character, but really Eddie Joseph Quinn nailed this character and just ripped the Duffer Brothers ripped our hearts out after the most metal concert ever.
When he
Where Eddie,
just the part where he looked at Dustin and said, "We're not the heroes," and I was like, "Oh man, I
uh,
know what's coming." Jesus, don't do
I
this.
will say they did a hell of a job writing dialogue in the emotional parts where I said, "Oh, that means that character's gonna die. Oh, that character's letting out all their emotions. They're coming clean. They're gonna die." Like I said that about
Yeah,
5 different characters.
foreshadowing. Yeah,
So basically, these two great pairing. Dustin always gets a good pairing. He had a good pairing with
with
Steve. He had a
Erica.
good pairing with Erica, and now a good pairing with Eddie here. So they get to their plot line is they basically have to be decoys. So they get to dress them up as warriors with shields, spike
they
shields, and pikes, and
went.
go out and
Yeah, I was just gonna say they
get
went
the
A-team on
bats.
it.
Dude,
Yeah.
doesn't look like an
Right,
Ewok.
right.
I was like, was that on purpose?
and,
Okay.
and so for me, one of the best visuals of this entire series is when Eddie sees his guitar in the upside down, basically says it's fate, and they plug him in, and he stands on top of the armored thing and just fucking rocks until the last note of the solo of the song, to
Yeah.
the very last second. What did you guys think of all this? Plus those two characters, amazing for me. Keith, I'm
Man,
gonna
it's
let you
like
go first.
it's weird because like as you're bringing up each of these points, it's like I'm remembering it, and there's like almost like separate movies were going on, like separate shows, like because that to me their little thing, especially when they spun off on that, was like a show unto itself. Like even the emotional content of it, it gave you enough of everything to be its own singular thing. That guy went from. It's not just the writing. I think that the casting has been great on this show because to actually pull off the writing and to pull out the emotions that you need, like it's not just the words. And that cat, man, dude, that whole segment, the rock star, the ultimate rock show, the standing up to those whatever those things were, like man, it was just to me as fantastical as it was just powerfully acted. Like I yeah, I really I man, I can't begin to explain how much I really enjoy from writing down to the acting.
And that character, from the first moment you see him, is fully formed. You see him and you're like, okay, that's a person with a fully formed everything, past history, attitude, and then every time he interacts with somebody, the cheerleader, the jock, Dustin and the kids, Erica, to the Steve, to his final hero moment, he is one of the best new characters on television this year.
Hmm.
Just fantastic start to finish. All right, Mike.
Oh yeah, no disagreement there. Probably one of the best scenes in the finale. That whole, I mean, that whole interaction, Dustin and
Dude, it was
Eddie,
an
man.
adventure.
I mean, it brought tears like at the end, like
Mhm.
you know, and Dustin trying to save him. I don't know if we get into all that yet, but
Yeah, absolutely.
yeah, like him realizing that Eddie's about to sacrifice himself and Dustin trying desperately to get back in there to help out and breaking his leg and whatever. And, um, so good. Uh,
Even
it's like, I don't know how you.
remembering it chokes me
Yeah,
up a little bit.
man. Yeah, it's so good. And Eddie coming to realization, I have to do this, not for me. Like, even when Dustin gave that speech at the end to the uncle.
Yeah, that's what I was waiting
Like,
for.
Oh,
it's not
That's
for
what I was
yeah.
me.
waiting for. That's what
That's
I
Yeah,
was
the
waiting
most
for.
powerful to me.
yeah.
That was the most powerful scene. Like that,
Yes.
yeah.
How it
All right.
wasn't for him and he did it for everybody, right? So great,
That
great stuff.
that was I was waiting to. Yeah, I was gonna.
Yeah, go ahead,
That was
James.
the part that I didn't hear from you guys that I was gonna chime in on. Thanks, Mike, for stealing my thunder. But even more so is when because Chris, you mentioned the fact that he was like, "We're not the heroes, we're the decors," and that kind of gave you like a foreshadowing, ominous. But at the end, when he was like, "I didn't run this time. This was my year," like all that
Oh
stuff,
God.
and then seeing Dustin how affected he was both during that scene and when the uncle was there. He gave him his guitar keychain, and then tells him, everybody thinks he's a murderer, but he was actually not only innocent, but he
Oh,
was a
that's oh
hero.
that
I'm
hurt.
like that. I almost
Yeah.
clapped
Yeah,
at the
yeah,
TV.
yo. He's not just innocent; he's a hero.
Yeah.
He's a hero. He saved his town, and he did.
Mm.
When you look at how everything fell together. So yeah, that's the only part that I wanted to chime in on that Mike was mentioning.
All right, so let's talk about Lucas, Max, and Erica. Break off there, the first group, and in the most danger. I thought obviously everybody was in danger, but Max has to be the first one to get
The
Vecna's
bait.
attention. In she's as much bait as Eddie and Dustin were. So this whole scene, amazing, top notch. What did you guys think? I'm gonna go back around the other way. Mike, what did you think of this whole crew?
Yeah, another great sequence. I mean, they pulled it off. Like each sequence was great. You got Erica trying to coordinate with the Upside Down, letting them know to go to phase 1, 2, 3, trying to signal back to the house. And then, like I said, when the jocks pulled up, and I was like, "Holy shit! Oh no!" And and the great moments with Lucas and Max, talking to each other about going to the movies and this and that, and then her when she's confessing all this stuff, and then Vecna's taking over his body. I was like, oh man, oh no, you know, just great stuff all around again, and the jock showing up in the big fight between the two of them, but
Oh,
he got his in the end. So
Yeah,
he got
you
his
just
in the
see
Yeah.
center.
you just see the other
yeah,
guy.
You see the other guy.
Right,
right.
exactly.
It's funny.
'Cause
All right, James, what did you think of this group?
By far, it's probably well. Let me not say that because Dustin and Eddie was pretty good too. I think this was probably the emotional center. I mean, as much as Eleven was doing with Mike and Will and all those guys, I think this played out in the finale as probably the emotional center. What I liked that I wanted to say earlier when we talked about the character who played Max, but also Lucas, was this show does a great thing by giving you flashbacks at the right moments where you look back and see these characters from season one, how they develop physically and character wise. When Max and Lucas was season one, it went back to that. Went back to Max caring for 11 in season one and season two, and it makes you remember, wow, a couple of years ago, these kids who've had not a care in the world are now as apocalyptic ending battle for their souls and humanity. And it's like fleeting, right? They show you these scenes, they show you sort of resonates, but it doesn't like overpower you. And then it gets to like the moment of crescendo where they're saved or not saved. Great job again by and you're gonna keep hearing me praising what these guys are doing. But I thought the actress was playing Max did a solid, more phenomenal job. The actor playing Lucas also probably did the most intense. When he was telling the jock like I wanted to be like you, realize that's That's not what I wanted. And many times some of us travel both worlds. We're geeks, we're athletes, we're all these different things, and we feel like we got to be one or the other. And realize, no, you don't have to be. You be wherever you want to be. Like you can put your feet and toe wherever you feel like putting it. Not feel like you have to play a character, character type. And Lucas's character, I think, did that pretty well.
Yeah, he definitely. I felt like he got a lot more this year, growth wise. Like he was a little bit antagonist kid in the group in season one,
Mhm.
especially. Like he was kind of anti 11 for a long time. They kind of
Yeah,
pushed
I
that
remember.
on him. This this season, I felt like he got a lot more. Not, and I know it breaks up between a lot of different characters, but I definitely thought he got some good moments this season. Keith.
They were. I feel like they were the emotional, like, that was a different kind of emotional group, and what they needed to work
Mm-hmm.
through, like almost like the Wizard of Oz. Like I felt like each of these groups branched off, and like it was like, oh, the Cowardly Lion, like they need there's something that they need to
Oh,
find.
oh, I'm
You know,
liking that. Uh huh. Uh huh.
so
Mm.
it kind of like
Mm-hmm.
they needed to come to terms with things and emotionally reconnect, like those kind
Mm-hmm.
of things. And I think like that, like he needed to come to terms with his truths, with himself for real, and get comfortable with himself. They needed to, him and Max needed to come to terms with whatever it was that is or isn't between them, or yeah, this, that, and the other. Like, so I felt like it was a kind of
Mm-hmm.
like one of those, like an intense sci-fi high school kind of emo-ness that they were really kind of like exhibiting and had to work.
Emo-ness.
But
Right.
I dug it. I related to it actually a little bit, especially his walking
So
the
did I.
line, emo. I mean, geek, jock.
Right. And some people not wanting you to be able to go back and
Exactly.
forth. They want you in one word.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, and this is where we get a big portion of our battle because Max goes under. She hides in her happy memory, and some great production design when the snowball background starts to bleed. Everything the the balloons start popping blood, and the decorations start to turn red and dying. Great stuff. Then Vecna catches her. Then 11 shows up and kicks his ass. But then he, like, this back and
Yeah, a lot
forth
of force
battle.
powers.
And then, yeah. Look, if someone looks at you and sticks their hand out, run away.
Run.
Run away.
Like shit's about to go down.
Yeah, right.
What did you guys think of the Vecna versus 11? I was hoping they would let Max, because it's her mind, do something, but she was just side.
She tried.
She tried, but
Yeah.
she got her ass kicked. Poor Max.
Yeah. You know what?
Oh,
You know what? I'm kind of with you there. Like she, in her mind, like if it's in her mind,
I was hoping
like
they'd
kind
let
of
her.
like a dream state,
Uh huh.
you would think you could manifest some powers or something.
Dream
You know what I mean?
Warriors,
Oh
right?
God,
Like
let's not
Dream
bring that
Warriors,
terrible thing.
exactly right. So,
But yeah,
but
I
yeah,
mean,
good sequence.
mhm.
Yeah, you know, um, good fight. Like it was cool when 11 showed up
Yeah,
to help
great
out.
entry. Like any typical, I don't want to say superhero movie, but when the hero comes in the last minute and like some big pompous circumstance entrance and bah, like she's like,
Dun,
basically
dun, dun, dun,
that's cool.
dun.
But
Came
and I don't know if we're
about.
gonna talk about this. I almost thought that Vecna was gonna introduce like his real big bad person that he's working for at that moment. Like,
Mm,
That's season
yeah,
5. Season
I thought
5,
that's
they
where it
do
was
yeah.
going. I thought between that battle, that's where he's gonna finally reveal, like, you don't know half of it,
It's
blah
Mephisto.
blah blah.
it's Mephisto.
But he
You
didn't.
think You think
Yeah.
he's the big boss, but really he's just the level boss. That's the level
Yes.
boss. And then
Season
you
5, final boss.
I don't know. He said it wasn't over. He said it wasn't over before
Yeah,
his
they made it
body
open ended for
got
because
flambe.
there's a scene where he's giving his long villain soliloquy when he's like, when I first
Origin.
arrived
He's
in this
monologuing.
universe,
Yeah.
I shaped, blah blah. It wasn't tainted by mankind, and they're showing you like the Demogorgons there. I'm thinking, okay, they're gonna show you who he actually is reporting to, and they never did. And I'm like, and so the big cloudy smoke,
Well,
like,
the big
But he looked like he created
yeah,
the mind flayer, right?
that's what I'm trying to figure out, because
Yeah.
that was the big bad in last season, the big spider
Yeah.
smoke thing. But did he make that,
Right.
or was that there? Was it a thing that was there that he connected with, and so he
correct.
made something new? So
I
we're
think
gonna
he
have to wait.
created it because they flashed to him as a
Yeah.
child drawing that thing.
Right.
Yeah, he
So when
created
he
it.
got there, he
Yeah.
created
That
that
makes more sense.
from his mind. Yeah.
I don't like it though, but it makes more sense.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, we got to pour one out for Max, because Max got wrecked. At the
Eric
end
goes,
there.
why are they keeping that poor girl alive? She is
Yeah.
broken and blind.
Yeah, like why?
And then
She's gonna wake up.
11 pulls a Ray.
She's gonna wake up
Yeah.
and be like, "What's his name from?"
Oh.
Damn it, the dude in the wheelchair.
Okay.
John
Stephen
Snow.
Hawking.
Stephen
John-
Hawking.
Stephen
Jon
Hawking.
Snow. The little
freaking-
brother in the wheelchair.
Yeah, I didn't talk about.
Oh,
Bronn.
That's what she's gonna
Bronn,
be.
yeah.
She's gonna be Bronn.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm gonna toss.
It's gonna be warging.
I'm gonna talk this. I'm gonna
And
toss this
blind.
out
Don't
there.
forget.
They could have just killed her and gotten the same
Yes.
emotional effect. If she's alive,
Yeah.
she's alive for a reason, and
Yeah.
her brain. I don't know. Is it because her brain's not functioning, or is it because she merged or something? Something with Vecna, something with her spirit, something with the sacrifices, something with Elle. I don't know, because Elle brought her back, but she only brought back her heart. She started her heart after a
Another
minute.
Force user.
So there's got to be something. Yeah. It was scary when they show Elle going in there and it's black.
Yeah.
That was freaky. But they
Right. That's what I was gonna say. It's interesting that she went into her mind and couldn't find her there. So where the hell is she? Right.
Right. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's an easy thing, but I don't think as a show that's worse than killing somebody. Like, I think you have to have an out for that character. I don't think you kill that character. What do you guys think? Do you think she's coming back in 5?
I easily see the hunt for Max's soul being material for at least a side plot in the next run.
Yeah, I would agree. Otherwise, there's no reason why they would keep her alive in that shape. That's just terrible.
Yeah, that's just terrible.
That would be mean as hell.
I was like, oh, she's got. I was like, oh.
I have a feeling she's gonna like mid-season next season just wake up
like Bronn,
and then like there'll
might
be
have
some
powers.
revelation.
She might
right?
come out of it with some sort of powers.
Like and how and then she'll know. Like there'll be at some point where it's starting to look like hope is lost, and then she'll wake up with some revelation on how to fix the problem.
Yeah, it was bad enough when they broke all her limbs and blinded her, and I was like, oh, that's rough for that character. And then they're like, we're gonna kill her too. And you're like, oh shit. Yeah. Oh no, and we're gonna bring her back, but she's brain dead. I'm like, Jesus Christ. Leave this poor girl alone.
I'm telling you, she's gonna come.
All right.
Yeah, when she was like, "Oh, I can't see and I can't feel anything,"
she's gonna come.
I don't want to die. Gave a little Peter Parker moment there.
Yeah.
She's gonna come back as some Oracle type figure that's connected to Vecna.
Yeah, she's gonna have some sort of powers. Yeah.
Ooh. Wow. We'll get to the very end in 1 second. Last group: Steve, Nancy, and Robin. They are the front line. They're there to kill the body. Of course, they get taken out of the battle pretty easily after some emotional talk between Steve and
Quickly
Nancy.
too.
Um,
Quickly.
yeah, they're like they really got shunted aside for the a lot of the work, and then when they got released, they get to do the cool stuff. They get to set them on fire, and Nancy gets to fire her shot-off
Dude,
shotgun.
what I did
Just like
understand, it's almost like Rise of Skywalker, where the Emperor who's shooting lightning at Rey, and he keeps shooting, is backfeeding and killing himself. I don't understand why Vecna kept walking into the fire, Molotov cocktails, and like he wasn't evading it, he wasn't dodging it, he was just walking into it.
he
Like
wasn't trying. Yeah, he wasn't
that part
trying to
made
get
no
away.
sense, and that's again, we're nitpicking. That moment, I was like, "Come on, dude, you're all powerful."
So from what I understand, though, like the reason they attacked his body is because his mind was in where 11 and Max were. So physically, he
No,
wouldn't
I
be at
get that, but
100%.
he was
It's just
still
Right.
forward
so that
progress
might
right
be,
into the shotgun and.
but, but maybe that was all that body. The body
No,
was
no,
capable
no.
of
When
doing, right?
he woke up and he saw them, and he
Mm-hmm.
basically warned them that he wasn't done. Like,
And then his
and then Nancy was like,
and then
"Fuck
his
you."
Michael Myers gets shot up, and then they all look outside, and he's gone, like Halloween.
He's gone. Yeah,
Yeah, I was just mad because Steve was standing there with an axe the whole time. I'm like, you're not gonna chop off his head?
yeah. They
Like,
chopped at the
swing that thing
vines, and
and
that's it.
Yeah.
get it
They
done.
that crew
Yeah,
got shunted aside a little too quickly. I think it was more that was
Yeah,
just a
they're the
time
first
thing.
group that I got.
yeah.
So
Yeah, if it hadn't been for the Russian thing, they probably would have had time. They would have been fighting
yeah,
stuff and whatever, but we went to Russia instead. So it was kind of a time thing. So they didn't get much to do, but they got a cool shot at the end. All right. I think
Yeah.
Robin's a great character.
Uh,
I love that character quite a bit.
I like her quirkiness. Yeah,
Steve, yeah, yeah. Nancy, whatever, she's fine. I don't really care much.
Nancy's the one that she annoyed me this season with her flip flopping
Well,
and
her and Will's brother there going back and forth, but not actually saying what they want to do, and I thought we'd get some
yeah.
resolve to that, but it was
her
just an
character has been
annoying
my least
thing
favorite
hanging
character
over.
the entire show, and I get she's needed. She has a purpose, but if I had to pick one character, I would other even Winona Ryder's even better. Winona Ryder's character has a better arc than Nancy's character, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Mm.
So, the very end, everybody gets back together.
Kumbaya.
Everybody's happy except for Max and Lucas.
No, not just
And
Max.
we basically
Not just Max. What's his name too? What the kid that's in the closet? The kid that's in the
Lucas.
closet.
Oh, Will.
Because
Okay. Yes, that's what I'm. You're right. Thanks for reminding
Vecna
me.
So it's so chilling to his skin.
Oh yeah, goosebumps.
The goosebumps. Yeah.
Will, like I said, I feel so sorry for that character. He can't catch a break. So now he's basically he's got the Tangle monster, whatever they called it in Spider-Man.
No, remember a couple years ago when we did the Stranger Thing? I remember this. I said it was like the PKE meter from Ghostbusters, like when bad things are happening. I remember saying this.
Right. There you
He's
go.
a physical
Yeah.
But something specifically moves. Something specifically moves under his skin at some point. And like my theory has been is he is connected in there in one way or another. He is going to be if part of the bad guy or release the bad guy. Something's happening with that kid in the next if
Well, that one season he was like spitting out
slugs, yeah.
The black goo,
evil slugs.
whatever that was.
toad.
Yeah, it was after he
Yeah.
lived in the Upside Down because he was the kid who got
Right.
taken. So yeah, it's wild. But everybody else, I don't know, it was just kind of everybody was a little too happy for having a friend in a comatose state. But but they were happy to be done with the world.
Wait, they
ending.
Well, I
didn't.
can understand like some of them, like they were all glad that Hopper was
Yeah, that's
back,
true.
right?
That's true. They didn't know what happened to her. Sorry, I was watching a whole World War II thing about Japan and Russia and their treaties, and I'm like, oh,
Chris came prepared.
all right.
Mm,
Before we go, we have to talk about music. I know you guys, especially, you love good musical scores and good music in movies and TV. This felt like the music was so vital to this show. What did you
yeah.
guys think of the soundtrack, the chosen songs, where they
Chris, I
went with
loved
it?
it.
I'm gonna
I
start
think
with
I
you,
texted
James.
you at the ending of episode 8 when they started doing the riff for separate ways from Journey. I knew it within 5 seconds, but I didn't know if they're going to play the actual lyrics. But I knew what song it was, and
Yeah.
because I was playing it on vacation with Eric, annoying the hell out of him in the car. I'm like, no way. And then 15, they let it kind of stretch it out, and then boom, the words come on. Obviously, Kate Bush, who's now having a second career
Yeah.
because of the show,
Multi-millionaire again
again
because of
because
this
of the
song.
song. Metallica, great. The music
Right.
really does enhance the show much more than I would expect any other TV show. That isn't really a musical. you know,
Hmm.
because the show's not a musical. It just happens to have great
Right.
music interwoven into the the story and plot. So that's freaking awesome, man.
Yeah, and there's not much of a score to the show.
Yeah,
There's
the opening
just that
theme
deep
song
bass
and
line
yeah.
that, you've got that intro, and then you've got your score bits here and there, during dark scenes and things like that. But for the most part, it's the music that
Hmm.
makes that show. So
Anything you want to add, Keith?
Well,
as
it's
a
Oh,
as
sorry,
opposed,
Mike. I thought you were done. Sorry.
no, I was just going to say, as opposed to like a feature length film scored by Hans
Hmm.
Zimmer, Zimmer's score
to me it was
is
more
like
like
what
Right.
makes that.
intense. Outside of those actual songs that we knew, like from the '80s or whatever, like I feel like it was more like very aptly placed mood music. Like I feel like it was just like music filling the space and kind of like guiding our emotions for that scene. And like which I thought also was brilliant on their part. But that move, the show of itself, to me, it was just like that's probably the best thing to happen to the '80s since the '80s.
All
Oh
right.
shit.
Nice. All right. So why don't we go around? We'll give grades and any final thoughts that you have about Stranger Things Volume 4. The whole thing, the whole kit and caboodle. Keith, I'm going to let you go
Well,
first.
it's getting an A for me. It's getting an A plus, in fact. And I I can find no holes, and I really this product I don't even want to attempt to find holes. Like I actually I've enjoyed it from the first season. It's delivered every season so far, and this was definitely not anything different than that. And I enjoyed it. I liked it. I approve it, and I endorse it.
All right. Mike.
Yeah, I said D for Doodle, right? Because of the no A plus, man. A lot of shows when you by the time you get to season 4, I'll mention Lost, but we won't talk about Lost. Season 4, they start going downhill.
People are already predicting. People are already predicting its downfall in season
And I
5.
have I have
Like I
faith in
already
the
read
Duffer
an
Brothers.
article that predicted
I
it.
have faith in
I
them,
got
and
it. Yo, they keep
Or it could be like Breaking Bad, which had a
exactly.
fantastic final season.
So A plus for
Right.
me.
but that was only 4 though.
What's that?
That was 4 seasons.
Breaking Bad?
Breaking Bad was 4 seasons.
That was 4
It was
seasons.
5.
Breaking.
No, it's 5 seasons. It's
It
five
was,
seasons.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
oh.
five. Yeah.
So A plus.
I can
A plus
understand
for
why
me.
people 5th season.
A
Hmm.
plus, double A plus. Look at that. All right, James, up to you.
I'm gonna go with three of a kind, A plus as well.
Wow,
What I'm
extreme.
hoping, yeah, I know. What
Wow.
I'm hoping is season 5. Two things. I think I'm hoping season 5 focuses back on like like one area, Hawkins, right? You got Mount Doom in the middle of a town there, and that cliffhanger shows us like looks like the upside down world is bleeding into the real world, right? So I'm hoping they kind of instead of California, Vegas, Russia, we all get back to the original locale of the show. And I'm hoping that Netflix doesn't do what they did this season and like break it apart with like the back two episodes like its own watching event, and then the first six. I rather them like give us 8 episodes of 1 hour each, so that we can
You know what
binge it
though?
like the way we
You know
see
what
the
though?
other
These
seasons.
last 2 episodes, they flew by. Like I was at the end, I was like, "That's it?
Oh my
Give
god.
me more." So it didn't bother
Yeah.
me at all.
Yeah, I didn't like it. I didn't like that break. I wish I could watch it in one sitting and then be like, "Thank you very much,
Oh yeah,
Netflix."
with the break, yeah, I get that, but with the episode length itself, it didn't bother me at all.
Yeah, I've complained a little bit about how some of the Disney series, specifically MCU and Star Wars series, feel like they're got like this collar on. Like this is how long it is. This is how long each episode is, and you have 6 episodes go. And this felt like, well, how long is it? Well, I don't know. Let's write it and figure out how long it's gonna be. Well, how long is the second to last episode? I don't know. Is it an hour? No, it's gonna be an hour and a half. Oh, okay, that works. How long is the last episode? Is another an hour? No, shit's 215 minutes. Like I don't know. Just let the story decide how long it's gonna be. And I think that's what I felt watching those 2 episodes. Just feeling like you're in it and the story's driving you and driving you. It never felt like it rushed to a conclusion in any point. Not that every story got a million hours or they dragged it. Like we've said about some series, like when 12 episodes of Daredevil, you're like, that one episode felt like a
A
little
filler, yeah.
unnecessary. Right. It didn't feel like that. It just felt like, how long is it going to be? Well, let's let the story dictate it. So I think they did a good job of just letting that happen. I think this year I've had the most number of series that I have yelled at my television for. Severance had me yelling at the television. The Boys has me yelling at the television. This series had me yelling at the television. And when you're that invested in something, you have to give it a grade in response to that. So I have to give it an A+ just because I'm just completely invested in the characters, and not just old characters where you're like, oh, of course I like that character. I've been with them for 4 years. But a brand new character like Eddie brought every bit of emotion with it. And you got to give them credit for that. It's amazingly done. And yeah, we can go through and nitpick story beats and character minutes and who should have been and who shouldn't have been, whatever. Like just completely invested in the show completely. And it's the best season of this show that's been consistently great.
Yep.
Here, 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 here.
All right. Wow. Wow, 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 wow. All right. Thank you guys for joining me for this review. This was a fun show to talk about. And I can't wait till we find our next A+ series. How far are we from The Boys? I don't know how many
Oh, the
episodes.
finale is this Friday. The finale. We're already at the finale for The Boys.
No, I haven't. I need to catch up. I finished off Umbrella Academy instead.
Oh, yeah. I haven't watched that yet.
Yeah, you should watch that. It was good.
It's good.
It's good.
I don't think it's not this level.
No,
it's
yeah,
good.
but it's good.
It's
Yeah, it's
really
good enough
good.
to watch for sure.
Yeah, it's not a
But
waste
the
of time.
battle this year, for my favorite series is just knockdown drag out. I don't know. It's a Royal Rumble level right now.
Royal Rumble. That's funny.
All right, Mike, where can people give us their responses to this series and what their favorite series of so far this year?
All right, as usual.
Where?
We are all over the internet at Hero Speak, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Hit that bell in the corner to get notifications. Share our content and leave a comment below.
Thank you, everybody, for joining me, and thank you, gentlemen, for joining me. And we'll be back with some more wonderful movies and series to talk about. See you next week.
Bye.
Hey, Indigo made the beat.